everybody. We're here to break down your immigration news in little pieces. So let's get into it. But before that, we've missed you. It's been a little minute. It's super hot here in Arizona. We are beyond the triple digits. So, how are you hanging?
Oh, I'm loving it.
Any tips that you have for the summer?
Turn your car. Don't have AC in your car for a while, and then you'll get used to the heat.
Yeah, his AC is broke on the car, so
Yeah.
I feel bad for you. I
Uh,
wouldn't recommend that as a tip, but I guess it's building your
Resilience.
resistance.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Because it happens.
Something that I am doing to keep up with this heat, you all, like I don't really like the IV liquid, but like I'm amping on those, and at least my goal is to do one a day because you dehydrate if you don't have electrolytes, so get your electrolytes. Now to not so many good news
Okay.
because the state of immigration is not the best. We're going to be talking about three main topics. We're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill, as people,
It's called the act now.
the big, beautiful
Senator
bill
Schumer
act.
removed the
Oh, the beautiful,
the big beautiful bill, and it's now the act. But it's
the
the same thing.
act.
Just call it the BBB.
Potatoes. We'll be talking about the reconciliation, if you want to get technical bill that already is into law, and then we're going to be discussing some developments that and updates around IRS sharing data with ICE, and then also some concerns around due process, specifically around um, ICE attempting to block
Bond hearings.
bond hearings. Thank you, Jose. My brain is now braining. But let's get into the
It's okay.
first topic, which it is about the act, or formerly known as the Big Beautiful Bill, or how other people are calling it, awful bill, whatever it is.
All
Doesn't
right.
matter. Potatoes.
HR1.
What we do want to get to is the meat of it. We were discussing a lot of concerns around immigration. We were discussing a lot of concerns around an education front that Pell grants were also like under attack. So tell us a little bit, what should we know? What is in it now that it's law? Does it go into effect right away? Break it down for us, Jose.
Yeah, some provisions go into effect right away. Some of them are going to be felt like January 1st, 2027. For example, the Medicaid cuts, which forces working age adults to work at least 20 hours in order to be eligible for Medicaid. That's going to go into effect starting January 1st, 2027, as well as some of those cuts to SNAP benefits. But then some of the provisions around immigration are going to affect when it was signed on July 4th. So again, it's multi-issue, multi-step start for the policy. But if you want to get started on immigration, we can focus on that.
Yeah, let's focus on immigration, specifically around there was a lot of worries and concerns that we discussed around appropriation of a lot of funding for border security or for immigration and ICE. What happened then?
Yeah, so in total is between 165 and 170 billion dollars that it was allocated in that big beautiful bill.
Compare it to last year,
So
Jose.
this is the interesting part because you can't compare it to last year because last year we didn't have a reconciliation bill.
Very
Uh,
good point, Jose.
this and then people need to understand this is going to be in supplement over 4 years, so the funding ends. Basically, is what I spends the money, it will be on reimbursement. So you can reimburse, or like sorry, DHS spends the money, they could get reimbursed, and it ends in 2029. Um, Additionally, there's some provision specifically on how much money is going to go to Border Patrol to build their border wall, which money is going to go to detention. I think $45 billion has been allocated to increase capacity of detention, to move up the bed quota capacity to 100,000. I think
And currently is at what, Jose?
it's a little under 40,000, so it's going to be more than double. And then additionally, $29 billion for ICE arrests and removals, which is what we're seeing the most right now in the news. Then, as you mentioned, ICE will, DHS, including ICE, will still get their annual budget that normally would be. So this is supplemental. So we're probably looking at the ICE budget to be a little more than double for the next 4 years. Same thing with Border Patrol. So um, we're going. ICE is going to have more resources to be able to hire more individuals. Typically, that would mean that they would get more people on the ground and they would be able to conduct more arrests. So the operation that we're seeing now, as John Stewart from Daily Show call it, we're seeing broke ICE. We're going to see fully funded ICE moving up into the next month. So from our perspective, um, things are going to get much worse for the burn community than they are now.
Thank you, Jose, for breaking that down. And I know that we don't like to share this like bad news, and it can be really scary. This is not to sound the alarm, but the reality is that now they're going to be fully funded, right? They're not going to be with fragments of budgets, and that's going to impact our community. So I think it is important for people to be aware of that.
Yeah.
What
On the bright side, there was polling conducted by multiple outlets, and it shows that more and more Democrats, Independents, and Republicans are against the policies of mass deportation and are began to support immigrants. They see immigrants as a good thing, which is a shift trend for what had happened the last 4 years. So public perception is changing because they're seeing the images that we're all seeing, and I think it's a lot for people to stomach to see people dying, like the farm worker who died, or the children being arrested, or the mom and dad, and hopefully the public support for immigrants continues, and there's bigger pushback towards the administration.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I have seen in terms of the public support. I think that sometimes immigration can be very complicated and people don't fully understand the nuances, but something very simple, they can see that arresting people at courts, it's bad. The biggest claim is like, why don't you do it the right way? Guess what? People are doing it the right way and they're still getting arrested. So I think that now something for us as we've been advocates who have been impacted by this, like we know and we lived it and experienced it, but the American public that maybe is a little bit farther removed, they don't know that. They're now seeing a glimpse of a life of an immigrant and a life of an immigrant family is. So hopefully we continue to see not only the increase of public support, but to also get them encouraged to move to the next step, to hold their elected officials accountable, to hopefully get positive change for our communities. Moving into the next segment,
Yeah.
IRS taxes. The
Fun
deadline
time.
already passed. Why are we still talking about taxes? But from an immigrant lens, Jose, I know that many folks
Yeah.
decided to file the extension, which they would have to then submit their taxes by October.
15.
A lot of those
October
folks
15, yeah.
Thank you, Jose. A lot of those folks did this because one of their main worries was that there was a lot of noise talking about that IRS was sharing the data with DHS, with the Department of Homeland Security.
Mhm.
So, what has been some of the newest developments? I know that there was some breaking news from ProPublica that did a lot of, they did a FOIA request. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, as they say, you cannot escape death and taxes. That's the only two
Facts.
things you cannot escape.
At least here in America.
No, you can still not escape death and taxes. It just depends how much taxes you pay, right?
Okay, so what's the update?
So the update is that we talk and we share a post on our Instagram account as well as social media, is that currently the IRS can share and has shared taxpayer data to ICE if there's a criminal investigation, and also if they have a judicial warrant, like a warrant from a judge. What at least currently the policy is that IRS cannot share data to ICE just because people are suspected to be in the country undocumented. There's about 7.3 million individuals who have paid in the last couple of years taxes with an NITIN number. So those are the data that the ICE wants.
And to put a little pause here, because I think that this is a huge misconception, Jose, being in this country undocumented is a civil offense, not a criminal activity. So based on on the current like regulations and laws, technically DHS cannot be requesting this, and
Well,
they can request it, but the IRS is supposed to deny the request if it's not related to a warrant or criminal activity, in theory.
In theory, right? So what the ProPublica report is saying is that the IRS is currently working on a program called Blueprint, which they're building up a system to be DHS to be able to request en masse, like the 7.3 million people's names and addresses, so they can search them. Again, this is a report that ProPublica got through a Freedom of Information request.
FOIA.
We also have known that two IRS directors have been removed because they have said that they don't see 7.3 million people weren't being investigated in a criminal investigation for ICE to be able to request that information. So this is a developing story. Legally speaking, they cannot, like the ICE, they can request it, but the information should not be shared unless a criminal investigation. But what we do know is the IRS is building the system for ICE.
So that's something that is extremely concerning and alarming for us. So we're going to continue to monitor this and give you the latest news. For me, one of the biggest concerns was that to learn that the blueprint system is being created. And then two, the fact that it's like two IRS director decided to step down because
They were fired.
They were fired. Even worse, they were fired because they want to follow the guidelines of how the IRS is supposed to operate. But more to come. We'll be keeping you updated on that. What we do know is that this administration is not shy to bending the rules. At least that's what we have seen so far.
Or interpret the rules, court decisions in a different way, and then getting challenged at the courts.
Well, talking about challenges, I know that ICE is trying really, really hard to block migrants who have been detained, who are seeking bonds. Tell us a little bit about what that means and what is the impact of that.
This would be disastrous. Long time ago, we created, we did a podcast on the creation of ICE. And
Check it out, it's still there.
And one of the things that specifically talked about is that long-term detention, which is somebody gets arrested, they're undocumented, they're sent to a detention center, and then they wait 6 months for the bond hearing or longer. That's something fairly new that really started to happen in mass after 9/11 here in the U.S. And then prior to 1986, a lot of times people were, okay, you're arrested, you have a court case, you don't, if the individual didn't pose a threat, meaning they didn't have any like violent criminal record or charges, they would be released and they would wait it. But a lot of it has to do with the private prison lobbying, advocating, and again, they're making a ton of money right now, Geo Group and CoreCivic, all these groups, that as we could foresee is that individuals are going to be detained long term, and having conversations through the years to people who have spent time in detention. A lot of people sign their voluntary departure because they're like, why am I gonna be in jail when my only crime that I want to do is work, pay taxes? So that's a two-pronged approach, right? One of them is the lobbyists who donated to their campaigns are going to get a ton of money, a ton of contracts, and people are going to sign that they're going to self-deport because they don't want to be in jail for wanting to work.
I think that this is, again, something that we've been tracking. It is developing. We do expect that this is in violation of the Fifth Amendment. So we are predicting that most likely there's going to be ongoing litigation to challenge these practices because you have rights in the United States of America that are protected by our Bill of Rights and by our Constitution, and we cannot give up so easily, and we gotta fight for them. And I know that there's good people out there that are willing to roll up their sleeves and do the good fight, and we cannot give up during these times, as challenging as it sounds. So this is all the topics that we have, and make sure that if you have questions, drop them on the comments. If you have sensitive information, slide to our DMs to ensure that your sensitive information is not out in the public. We encourage you to continue to see our resources at alientoec.org/resources. There we are constantly updating them. So if you need a resource that is not there, let us know. We would love to hear it so we can curate it and making sure that it's there and ready to go. And we'll be talking to you until next time. Any words of wisdom or departure?
Yes, just last comment around birthright citizenship. Right now, there's been multiple court decisions, multiple cases for folks. Right now, if your parents are undocumented or if you're undocumented, pregnant woman who's going to give birth, your child will still, right now as it stands, would still be eligible for citizenship. Probably this court cases are going to take several months, maybe years to get settled. So I know that people are worried, thinking like, oh, should I leave Arizona? Should I go to another state? Currently, everybody in the country, even if your parents are undocumented, if your born in this country, you would still be eligible for birthright citizenship.
So we're mainly talking about the new babies that are coming. As of now, they should still be citizens. And if you are a child of an undocumented parent and are worried that your citizenship is going to be taken away, that has not been decided. You're still a citizen. You're good to go. Okay, now for realsies. Bye.